Three winners and three races at three very different tracks. In fact, one of them wasn't even on pavement. The versatility required this season has certainly tested our drivers, and Michigan will undoubtedly be another unique challenge of its own. Now that Bradley Holly has rebounded and regained the points lead after his victory, will it be hard to stop his momentum? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Michigan is a track chock full of American racing history, but in an era of cookie-cutter circuits, this old place continues to retain its distinct flavor. Let's learn a little bit more about Michigan International Speedway.
Welcome to the Michigan International Speedway. This 2-mile D-shaped oval located in the beautiful Irish Hills of southern Michigan, sitting about an hour and a half's drive to the southwest of Detroit along I-94, right in the backyard of Chevrolet and Ford. When you're that close to Detroit Power, your speedway better live up to the hype. 18-degree banked corners with a 12-degree banked front stretch allow for maximum power and lots of action. The higher downforce Indy cars were able to put on spectacular shows of driver bravery and talent. In recent years, it's played host to mostly the tin top cars, as the NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Gander Truck, and even Arcus Series have all hosted events here in the last decade. Michigan is a wide, sweeping oval, but it isn't harmless. The lowest groove of the corners near the bottom can be your very best friend in the IndyCar, but your worst enemy in the tin tops. Cars will frequently get loose that far down the track, causing chaos for the pack behind. Michigan is all about speed and lots of it. Often the drivers that find the most success here are the ones willing to experiment around the track and find grip their competitors haven't. The facility in recent years has doubled down on fan comfort as well, giving more elbow room, redoing seats, camping areas, even providing Wi-Fi to watch all of these live broadcasts in the grandstands of all the sections. All in all, Michigan has become a staple of American motorsports since it opened in 1968. Fans and drivers both always look forward to when the schedules come back to the beautiful Irish Hills of southern Michigan. Fast speeds, high action, it's all here at Michigan International Speedway, where it's your speed.
This is one of the tracks that iRacing has recently rescanned, and this is the newest version that we've got here in the sim of Michigan. Adam, so what are the trucks up against?
Well, definitely, Joe. Michigan International Speedway is one of NASCAR's not-so-odd oddity tracks. It clocks in at 2 miles or 3.22 kilometers and is known for its high speeds and progressive banking. These trucks may have big wings, but unlike their Cup Series brethren, they have very little downforce and a propensity to spin their rear tires on exit, making hanging onto the truck at quartering speeds exceeding 170 miles an hour very difficult. Add to that a competitive field tonight and the fact that this is one of the first non-wildcard races of the season, and the drivers will definitely be getting their elbows out tonight, fighting for every point they can get.
Well, as always, we want to remind you that this series is sponsored by the Diecast Kings. Make sure and shop Diecast Kings, your home for the best selection of NHRA and NASCAR diecast cars, which can be found at diecastkings.com. You talked about drivers being eager for points here today. Well, let's take a look at the championship because, as I mentioned at the start, 3 different winners so far. Bradley Holly gets his first one of the season. J.R. Smith has the other. We don't see the third in here because Rachel Hunt has slipped into 6th with a poor race at Eldora, unfortunately. Knight and Burnham are tied there for 3rd place, and then you get a big jump back to Trevor Clement, but really not terribly big, we should clarify, even though it's bigger than what we see with the rest of the top 4. Also, there's the team's championship, which is usually pretty closely contested in this series. Adam?
Definitely. Yeah, Riding Shotgun has actually been doing a great job climbing their way back up to that second position. That's the consistency of Daniel Knight and Adam Shane that have been doing a really good job recently, especially last week at Eldora. Backroad Bandit Racing, though, is in the lead with 194 points. And then those two are separated by quite a few points, actually, back to Rescue Racing Puppies, Whataback Ramrod, Rescue Racing Paw Patrol as well. So this is starting to spread out a little bit, but it's still anyone's game at this point.
Now, this game involves racing around Michigan in the trucks, but what about more detailed information about the race? Let's take a look at that. We are in round 4, and now I know it says 55 laps or 60 minutes, but there's sort of a last-second update to that, so unfortunately we didn't really have time to try and get the graphic up to speed there. They have an hour and 25 minutes for this race, and that was just due to a small error that they had to take care of, and unfortunately they weren't able to fix the error on their fix. So just something that shouldn't affect things too greatly, but gives us a little bit more time if needed. It is a fixed setup that the drivers are dealing with in these trucks, and it isn't a heat format tonight. This is a single race, and they have a 24 incident limit out there that they have to try and keep it under, or else they will be disqualified. And as the drivers currently are in the warm-up, we'll get the qualifying going in just a moment. It's a decent field out here today with 38 drivers having shown up. And, well, this isn't quite a super speedway, Adam, but I guess it's the closest you'll get on a traditional oval, if you will. I suspect it's not going to be quite that simple in qualifying, though.
No, qualifying is going to be very difficult, and a lot of this is going to have to determine weather. We have a partly cloudy day today with dynamic skies, so what that means is we're going to have the opportunity for some cloud cover to come across the track. And we've noticed ever since this latest update for iRacing that the track temperature has actually varied a decent amount, a degree or two, based upon the cloud cover, and that can happen over the course of a 5-minute qualifying session. So some of these drivers might want to wait if it's sunny out to see whether or not a cloud comes over the track so that they can improve their time going into trying to get pole.
Certainly, the game has changed a little bit in that sense, and drivers will be watching out. You can see getting a little bit of sun right now, or a cloud right now, and I can actually tell you it went down 1 degree, 107. So drivers looking for those hundredths of a second out there will have to be canny on what the weather is doing. They have some bonus points, of course, that they do hand out as well. One of those will be in qualifying. The pole gets 2 bonus points, and then most laps led get 2 as well. Leading the lap gets you 1. Fastest lap gets you 1. And less than 3 incidents out on track will get you a bonus point 2. Just, here we go, down to the last seconds of our warm-up. So qualifying getting ready to take place today.
Yeah, and Joe, one other thing I'd like to mention is that it's also very fascinating to notice that these drivers are having to deal with all that track temperature as well as the new tire model. And since this is one of the first races that's a fairly normal oval, they'll have to deal with that new factor as well this season. So things are going to be very interesting here for qualifying.
Yeah, already getting cars or trucks out on the track right now as they start to pick up speed. Some of them not willing to wait, just want to get going right away. That gives us at least something to talk about here at the start. And track position isn't the most critical at a track like this, as passing should be doable, but there's always the worry of the big one happening here at Michigan, too.
Yeah, the big one, it can happen really easily, especially because of how tight this setup appears to be for them today. It's going to make things very difficult. If a wreck happens low on the track, it will wash up towards the top of the track, especially with the speeds they're carrying. Over 170 miles an hour into the turns today. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see whether or not the big one's going to happen today and who can avoid it.
So as we get some drivers starting that first timed lap, I see Craig Holden out there. This is Nick Roby right now, working his way around.
All the drivers today were in practice were underneath 0.5 of a second. So I expect qualifying to be very, very tight.
I'm kind of anticipating the same thing. As we watch Todd Smith as well there on screen. He's the first to get a time down, and it is a 40.591. Bijin tops that, 44.26. Smith just shy of him. Bradley Hawley up to the pole, so he certainly is carrying this momentum on. But what can he do in the race? And again, they get 2 laps here in qualifying, so they get another time around.
Yeah, that second lap is going to be... I'm not sure whether it's going to be crucial or not. It all depends on how the track temperature is changing. Here comes Barry Peel across the line. He's going to come across and get a decent time. Rachel Hunt coming here through 3 and 4. She's going to be trying to get a good time in. She's been having some good luck recently, but Eldora was not exactly the best place for her. She actually got involved in a wreck before the final caution that ended up ending her day. She comes across and gets a 40.473, so that's enough for her to get 8th currently.
Sink had the lead away from Hawley for a moment, but now Sink crosses the line and he does not improve. Hartman does, though. In his second lap, a 40.285, half a tenth up on Bradley Hawley. Clement looking good on his first lap. That gets him to 4th. Oh, and he gets a 40.339. Front row for the 111. Getting that practice in for the Daytona 500 for the majors next month.
Looks like everyone's a little bit surprised here that I think these later runners are actually having an advantage on lap time, and that might be due to some fresh rubber being put down, or it might be due to the track temperature changing just a little bit. But with the qualifying as close as it is, tight packed together, that little bit of difference could make all the difference between you getting pole or not.
And Rachel Hunt gets a good qualifying in, up to 5th. Still waiting on Audrey, Hilton, Richter, Hunter, Shane, Sumner, all getting their laps in. We see Nick Hunter right now coming around. There should be a timed lap. Nope, that was an out lap for him. 109 heads it down into turn 1, swinging it nice down low, just on and across that bottom seam there, but not quite to the yellow line. Drifts it up high. Ooh, that looked a little shaky there as we now switch over to Richter, too.
Adam Shane coming across a 41.940. That is a slow lap, so hopefully that was his first lap and not his second. Matthew Aubrey coming across with a 40.892. That's going to be good enough for 24th today. Nicholas Hunter looking like he's about to come across the stripe as well.
Hunter's first lap going to be a 41.2. That puts him up to 31st position, so well towards the back of the field. 33rd, actually. Sumner as well. He goes to 31st. Shane, I'm seeing, did set a first lap, but it didn't count. So he had some sort of off or something. Difficult to do here on an oval. His second one counts, thankfully, at 40.9. Jumps him to 31st.
That's a tough spot for him to start, especially with the fact that Ryan Schocken is now contending for that championship lead in team points. Here comes Nicholas Hunter off of turn 4. He's going to cross the line. Let's see what kind of time he gets.
It's quicker. It's a 40.7, and that's just in time because that's it for qualifying. That puts him in 29th. Nobody else is able to cross. Let's go to your starting grid for tonight. It's going to be William Hartman on the pole with Trevor Clement starting in second. Bradley Hawley, only good enough for third, but, well, we've seen that in the races he's not one to be discounted. Thomas Sink will be starting P4. Rachel Hunt stays in fifth, as we accounted for earlier. Colton Lane, good qualifying for him in sixth position. Brennan Chatley on the next row to the inside in seventh. Mike Burnett starts in P8. Rob Haynes will be ninth, and Josue Telez in 10th.
Dominic Magin is going to start off P11 with Paul Williams in 12th. Adam Zemke rolling off in that 13th position on row 7 alongside Daniel Knight in 14th. Jason Hounshell starting off row 8 with Paul Johnson alongside him. Mike Richter is going to start off in row 9 with Todd Smith in 18th. Brandon Walter and Blaine Adams round out those top 20.
21st goes to Jake Hounshell. Austin Hunter will be P22. And you've got Dan McLaren in 23rd. That's actually a pretty decent qualifying for him. Christopher Burnham will be 24th and Matthew Aubrey in 25th. Adam Young looking much stronger in qualifying than he did in the warm-up, but 26 is not bad. Tristan Callahan will be 27th and Nick Roby in 28th. And you've got Nick Hunter, who we followed with the last qualifying time to put him in 29th, and Craig Holden managed to put it in 30th.
Then we have Jeff Harrison in 31st place with Adam Shane in 32nd. Barry Peel's going to start off 33rd with Charles Sumner starting off 34th position. Tough qualifying for him. J.R. Bash, who we saw doing really well last week, starts off 35th this week alongside Nick Pruitt in 36th. Then Barron Hilton and Brett Adams and Brian Hotham and J.R. Smith round out your field.
Now, we have some unfortunate penalties that drivers will have to deal with here today. Adam, I see you've got the sheet out. Can you fill us in on who's going to be going to the back of the line?
Yeah, it's possible that we have a couple of end-of-the-line penalties. I'm not sure the league has instituted those yet. There's a couple of finer points in the rules that were yet to be decided before the season started, but Brett Adams, Jeff Harrison, and John Labath each have 2 caution penalties, and based upon last year's caution penalty system, that would put them at an EOL because it was within 3 rounds. Now, if they get another caution penalty going into the next round, and they have not had an EOL this race, they will get one for next race. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not the league hits them at the back for this race.
Watch out for that. Should be a single pace lap around here. Love this new method of how they line them up. They're on pit lane, basically kind of tilted diagonally, ready to go. Feels a lot more like a show here. And the pace car currently leading them down the backstretch, William Hartman in that number 67. He's been one that usually is able to challenge the 184 of Bradley Hawley. Seeing him up in front certainly should give something to think about for our multi-time champion and that number 184. They already headed into turns 3 and 4 at this point. 55 laps that they've got to complete here today. How many cautions are we going to have? Will we have any cautions? We'll be able to keep it clean. Getting ready for that Mustang pace car to head on to pit lane. Ducks down low. Heads the rest of the way in. Hartman has control of the field now. He's giving it a long wait. He's checking everybody up. Green flag is out. He gets going. Not the best of jumps. Trevor Clement looking strong. And in fact, Bradley Hawley almost giving a bump draft as they start to pick up speed down into turn 1. So far, it's relatively calm, though, as all the side-by-side racing stays put coming down into the first 2 corners.
It's actually pretty chaotic in the back of the pack. The guys trying to make some moves there, but there we have it. Almost 3 wide there for about 10th position with Brendan Chatley, Dominic Bajin, Daniel Knight, all side-by-side. As they go into 3 and 4, they better start to get a little bit more sorted out, or things are going to get a little tight.
Josue Telez has not had a good first lap. He hit the outside wall exiting 2, and now he's bumped someone coming into 3. No wreck came out of either incident, but it's sent him well far back down the order. Up at the front, it's going to be Hartman leading the first lap. Hawley in second place. Sink in third. Trevor Clement falls to 4th there. Rachel Hunt up to 5th and maybe looking at 4th place as she tries the low side.
And Rachel Hunt very, very tight there in that pack. She's really trying to do her best to stay ahead of Colton Lane and Dominic Bajin. She's able to do it and stay up on that high side, but that forces a couple of the drivers down low below her as they go into 3 and 4.
Ooh, Dominic Bajin is hot down into that turn 3. The Canadian has a nose ahead. But the question is, can he carry the speed off with these tight setups on these trucks? Doesn't really drift it up all that high. In fact, he's got a little bit of help from behind. That's Mike Burnett that you see from off of his gearbox there, giving a big shove.
Yeah, and Bradley Hawley's actually closed the gap up to William Hartman for the lead. It's just under 0.2 of a second for those folks as well as we watch the side-by-side battle. But take a look at this off the nose of Bradley Hawley. He's right there up on Hartman, but I wouldn't expect him to try and make a move yet because he could save fuel and save a little bit of tires just drafting right in the wheel tracks of William Hartman.
Let's head back behind them in that battle between what is now Clement and Bajin. He's gotten by Rachel Hunt, and now he's looking for 4th place. Looks like he's going to get it at the line as he's just barely ahead. Let's stay with this battle, but a note that Adam Young did not take the green. He started from pit lane, and that unfortunately has sent him well far back. Without a caution, he might actually go a lap down early here.
And this whole pack is starting to get a little bit held up as Christopher Burnham, actually in 15th place, gets a little bit tight up off the corner and almost causes the 70 of Paul Johnson to run into him, causing a little bit of a breakup. But as we're watching right here, things are getting very intense in this mid-pack. It looks like everyone's getting held up about, fifth on, fourth on back.
Yeah, it's a lot less orderly here in this group that we're seeing on screen than it is up at the front, which has gone mainly single file. Smith leading that small little pack. They try to make sure and stay steady through the corners, each of them picking their line, watching out the side, listening to their spotters as we come onto the back stretch. This is the danger zone, trying not to drift up into that safer barrier.
Yeah, it looks like Rachel Hunt might have used up a little bit of her front tires in that first little bit of this stint, so she's starting to fall off the back of Dominic Regine by a good almost second here. So she is starting to lose a little bit of pace, but we know that she's good on the long runs. We saw that in practice, and the track is actually a little bit cooler than practice, 105 degrees compared to 109 earlier. But right behind her, there's actually a 3-wide battle going on with Colton Lane, Daniel Knight, and Brendan Chadley.
Going to stay 3 wide. The 111 of Clement stuck in the middle there as well. Haynes down low, loses momentum. Everybody scatters to try and see if they can get some positions out of this. Oh, we got a spin. That's Zemke. More cars getting into it. Oof, this looks like it started with the 21, but then there's an incident in front of him as well. Oh, he just clips the rear of Colton Lane.
Yeah, this is a really...
and that sends him down, it looks like. Yeah.
This is a really unfortunate incident, and if we... Oh, my goodness, there are quite a few cars that got completely upended by this one.
There's a big hit for Dan McLaren in that. He ran into the side of Colton Lane. Lane drifted back down just as he gets hit once again by Tristan Callahan and Matthew Albury.
Yeah, if we could take a look at either Paul Williams or Colton Lane for this wreck, they both got clobbered quite a bit here.
Watch this one more time. Here's Williams in the 7, the Diecast King cars. Oh, yeah, he was just at the front of the action. Once he got turned around, he was along for the ride and had no control over it. Come back live. We're all ready to the pit stops, and it is going to be led by William Hartman. Williams, of course, had to take the tow. His car was way too damaged to be able to drive it back home.
A couple drivers deciding to stay out here, Joe. I'm noticing Jason Hounshell, Todd Smith, Mike Richter staying out currently.
So some interesting strategy. It wasn't that far into the run. It was only about 7 laps in, 6 or 7. Oh, and William Hartman missed his pit stall. So our leader could find himself set back. J.R. Smith misses his completely because he just goes straight through.
I mean, that's not the end of the world. It still puts you out in 4th place. So, you know, it's a different strategy that you're going to have to run for sure, but I don't think it's going to hurt him that much.
Wow, did you see how much of a drag race it was to the line there? Almost 4 wide. Hartman did manage to make it out in what will be 6. He's the second of the cars to escape. Rachel Hunt behind him. Then you've got Burnett, Sink, and Bajine. So that scattered things around significantly, especially up at the front.
I got to report that Brett Adams also did not manage to find his pit box when he came down pit road. So quite a few drivers missing their pit boxes here tonight.
Looks like Adam Young is going to be able to catch the tail end as he also comes in and gets some work done. Drivers who are taking repairs: Zemke, McLaren, Aubrey, Callahan still in there, Paul Williams. Colton Lane looks like he is actually DNF'd because I see him grayed out on my screen, so he might not even return. Zemke's managed to get back out despite being the one that kicked it all off. Looks like he's taken the least repairs of anybody.
And Todd Smith and Jason Hounshell have decided to forego that opportunity to stay at the lead and take tires and fuel now. So they're deciding that they want to do a run towards the back of the pack instead, which is a viable strategy because we have the big one that is capable of happening here. That's definitely a strategy you can employ.
And, well, J.R. Smith is going to lay in the bed that he's made. So he's starting from second place. Richter is the only driver besides Smith to have not gotten any tires, any fresh rubber on that truck. We'll see if they get gobbled up or not, because we're going to get restarted here at the end of this lap on lap 10. And Rachel Hunt doing some interesting speeding up and slowing down. Now, if I'm not mistaken, these trucks are on tire model 7. They are correct?
Yes, that is my understanding.
So I think what we're seeing with some of this, with drivers like Hunt speeding up, slowing down, I wonder if she's trying to get some heat from the brakes into the tires here.
That would be my expectation. It's a good strategy, actually, because these trucks on cold tires can get very surprising.
All right, who's got a handle on them? Who's going to be able to manage these old tires between our front row? Pace car down low. The Mustang, iRacing Mustang, is now in. Richter goes early. Green flag is out. Bradley Hawley was paying attention on that one. He is already up into second place. Smith was napping, and he can't even get down into third because William Hartman is down below him, trying to take the low line away. Shorter distance as they start to get up to speed. He's easily into third.
And it's a really squish pack here all the way down to 12th place with Christopher Burnham as everyone starts to file in a little bit. Still 2x2. Oh man, one of the riding shotgun trucks got really loose there. That was Daniel Knight trying to hang on to it there. That's going to allow Rob Haynes to go around him. But look at this, a battle for the lead going into the first turn.
Well, he gets to the low side of Richter, but he hasn't got it done quite yet. As they come off of turn 4 on fresh tires, Holly could maybe leave him in the dust, but so far the 51 is looking decent. They come down into turn 1. He holds the outside. He's going to make him work for it.
J.R. Smith also on the outside. Look at that. That's Holly really struggling there on the bottom side in the 184 with William Hartman tucked up behind him. Wow. Richter almost getting a little bit loose on the exit of the corner with J.R. Smith tucked in behind him. So it's a 2-on-2 race right now.
And we got a caution. Looks like Barry Peel down at the back of the pack is on the inside wall. Checking to see if anybody else involved. Looks
Paul
like
Johnson.
Paul Johnson, yeah. Johnson gets hit by 2 more cars as we take a look at Peel first.
Yeah, so we're going to watch this. It's going to be coming out of turns 1 and 2. Barry Peel thinks that he's clear, and he dives down to the low side, and he doesn't realize that Paul Johnson is there. We're going to see it right here. He's going to think he's clear and dive down low and clip the nose of Paul Johnson there.
And you see that was Johnson going back up. Johnson actually gets hit nose to nose. That was the 71 of Pruitt who finds him. Not often you see this sort of wreck.
Yeah, Paul wasn't going to be able to save it, but he was locking it down, trying to make his truck as predictable as possible to avoid as much damage as possible. But sometimes you come off of those corners fast enough that you can't avoid it.
Yeah, it was a very slow, as we saw from on board, Nick, just approach up to the car ahead, and it all came to a head, unfortunately. So, second caution here on lap 11. We're already on lap 12, getting ready to start 13.
Mike Richter and J.R. Smith are definitely laying in the bed that they made. They're staying out here on this second caution, so interesting strategies. They're going to hold on to their track position.
Well, they weren't dropping. You know, it almost looks like with this new tire model that it's a case of the cold tires are still slow enough that you don't lose a whole lot. So that staying out gamble might change the game quite a bit here this season.
And that's a huge win for iRacing and their new tire model strategy, trying to make it so that the different strategies are as viable as they are in real life. And so it's awesome to see that working in full effect here at the PRL NASCAR Truck Series.
Yeah, I love when it's a big question mark on what you should do. The more the more variety that we get on strategy, the more exciting it is for us and for the fans and for the drivers as well. Granted, I'm sure they would like a more sure win in some cases, but excitement to the line is a lot more fun to watch for sure as we are on board with Richter. He and Smith wind up in first and second place after all that. Hawley must have just fallen behind them before that caution came out, because he was certainly challenging for the lead with Richter at one point.
All right, Joe, we are 13 laps in, and we have, looks like we've lost about about 7 trucks right now. We got 2 that are severely damaged, but that's a pretty high attrition rate.
It is, especially this early on. Pruitt, Johnson, Smith, McLaren, Aubrey, Lane. Williams is still taking repairs, and I'm not sure if he's going to get back out. The 7 has been sitting in there for a lengthy amount of time. I think it's up to 9 minutes now. Hilton, despite being involved in both accidents, I'm pretty sure, the 02 is back out on track and running, and he's going to catch the tail of the train, I believe. We're not, because, yeah, lights are still on currently.
Yeah, so he's going to catch the tail of this train. It all depends on how much top end speed he has left in that truck in the 02. You know, he's going to start off in 33rd position. He's going to have new tires, new chassis. It looks like he's going in for more repairs, so that damage is definitely engine damage. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing this that often. But yeah, I mean, he still has a chance of getting some good points today if he can just hang on to the back of the pack.
And he comes back in for just a little bit more as he misses his pit stall there. You can see the pack still working their way down the backstretch. We should get 1 to go this time by, pretty certain. Fewer trucks, though, does mean that less likelihood for the cautions, at least we hope. They have no spare truck in this series. If you get damaged, you just got to come in and get it repaired and can't hope for wheeling one off the trailer. An update on our temperature, though. It has gone down once again, 106 degrees Fahrenheit. Getting a little bit of information from, I'm not sure if that was a driver or one of the stewards there that we were listening to. Already starting to get double file.
Yeah, that was just one of the stewards giving an advisory to the drivers on caution avoidance. It's the same tips you hear a lot in iRacing. Just lock down the brakes, you know, try to look where you're going, not where the wreck is. And it's a lot harder than it may seem to avoid a wreck that's happening directly in front of you.
Yeah, it's always one of those things. It's sometimes easier said than done, I guess. That you've got to make those split-second decisions, and it's almost got to be instinctual for these drivers with some of the things that they do out on track. You don't have the time to sit and think about what you're doing, Adam.
Not at all. You have to really be reactionary, and that's where just having more experience and training yourself in how to avoid wrecks is just getting into them more often. And that doesn't mean you cause wrecks, but practicing where you are in situations where you can get in accidents and learning how to avoid them that way. It really is a trial and error process.
Nothing replaces paying your dues. So get the car or the truck down on track and get some practice in. As we get ready to go green here, Smith and Richter now on tires that are 15 laps old. Smith's tire count on my time in scoring is going to be a little bit off, but all I have to do is look at Richter's, at least for now, because Smith chose 8 lap old tires, but he didn't get any when he came down pit lane. All right, that's where the pace car is in now. This allows Richter to take the green flag, and he accelerates away. Holly was right up behind him. It actually looks like it hurt him.
Very cold tires, Joe. This is the longest yellow flag that we've had because we had a couple of lap trucks already, so everyone's on very cold tires now as they enter turn 22.
Single file for the top 4. Got a side-by-side between Burnett and Bajin. They come onto the back stretch. Bajin's got the run, but he's boxed in because the 184 is in front of him. You see behind them as well, that's Hunt trying to give chase. Chatley as well, trying not to lose touch with this top group.
Mike Richter and J.R. Smith are proving to be very surprising up there at the front. They have 15 lap old tires. Now, granted, only about 7 of those, only about 9 of those have been race laps, but they've got some serious speed, and Bradley Hawley and William Harmon are not able to make anything of it right.
Down into turn 1, Bijin looking strong, though, here on the top side. Going around the outside of the 67 of Hartman. Bijin will get 4th place with that. Once again, going single file. And as they come down into 3, are we going to see anybody trying a different line? Maybe a little bit of a move? No, this is looking much more like ducks in a row.
Yep, looks like everyone's going a little bit more single file here. This is going to be a good opportunity for everybody to be a little bit more careful and get a little bit more life out of their tires. You don't want to wring it out quite yet. We're not that far into the race.
I'd say so. First side-by-side we're getting is between Roby and Hunter. This is down for 13th position. Hunter on the low side in the 312 is not able to carry the speed off of 2 down the back stretch. He's already found Brandon Walter to his outside, so he can't get into line. That's Walter in the white and black truck. The red machine is Hunter.
Just behind them, you see Jake Hounshell trying to go low on Blaine Adams, trying to get around him. And we're going on board with him right now as he thinks about going below the apron. That's definitely a viable strategy here at Michigan, but thinks better of it. He wants to stay in that draft.
We got to go back to the front because Richter has Smith to his inside. It's 2x2 up at the front, and now it's going to be 3 wide. Holly's going to stick it in the middle. Oh, and out to the wall. The 51 drags it on there, and he gets in contact with Mike Burnett. Caution comes out as they slide to a halt in the infield.
Fortunately, that was only a 2-truck incident, but that's going to be a tough one. That's just one of those difficult situations where Mike Richter is just getting super tight with those front right tire being burnt off a little bit more than everyone else. Was unable to hold it there with it being 3 wide at the front.
Finally saw the effects. And J.R. Smith is grinning from that one because he'll inherit the lead. We'll get one more angle on it. Oh, yeah, he was going high and wide very early. And then poor Mike Burnett in the 39 just kind of was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
All right, so here's the trick then. With that experience, I think everyone behind J.R. Smith knows that they can stay out and still be super competitive right now because J.R. did it. But now J.R. has to go into the pits probably and get some tires after seeing what happened to Mike Richter. So he's in a tough situation. Does he stay out and try and retain that track position expecting more cautions? Or does he come into the pits, get some tires, and be more competitive toward later on in this run?
We'll find out pretty soon because they're coming up to pit lane. And Smith is certainly going to determine what maybe a few other people behind him do. Smith is looking like he might come in. Is this going to be a fake out? No, he comes in. And so does pretty much everybody behind him. Not seeing anybody duck away so far.
That's a little bit of a surprise to me. There we have a couple of takers.
Clement.
That is Adam Young, who decided to stay out, and Trevor Clement decided to stay out as well.
All right, that'll give them some track position. Only had a couple laps under green, so should have some good tires underneath them. Oh, and Smith comes through again. Well, this makes me question if it was an accident the first time now.
I mean, that's a viable strategy. It's just not what I've ever thought of before. He retains the lead as well.
Wow. Okay, so everybody else already comes out, and that means that we're going to head to a break as they're going to be led by Bradley Hawley back to the track. Stick around because we got more racing action here at Michigan International Speedway for round 4 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. to Michigan International Speedway. J.R. Smith playing some games with the rest of the field. Adam Young, though, is up there as well, as he's taken the opportunity to try to get some track position along with Trevor Clement, who will be restarting on the front row next to Smith. But Adam, you and I were talking over the break. We're both kind of looking at Smith's call here and kind of wondering, this is a little riskier than what he did before.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome strategy to pull all the way through the pit stalls and not stop. But with everyone coming in behind you and with your tires being like 20 laps old, what, 25 laps old at this point? I think that was the opportunity to come and get 4 fresh ones. They'd only have Trevor and Adam ahead of you, and you'd have an opportunity to still retain the lead. But at this point, he's going to be under serious pressure.
All right. So everybody's going to get an answer because the pace car is in. Very quick start there for J.R. Smith. Going to leave everybody in the dust as Trevor Clement tries to get it going. Behind him, Bradley Hawley going to give a big shove to try and push him up there, and then ducks down low as they head into turns 1 and 2.
Bradley Hawley underneath Clement. He knows that Clement's on old tires, so he's going to try and make use of all his new ones. But Clement's got a good run on the high side. A fantastic run, actually. He's going to stay alongside Bradley Hawley. And here comes Dominic Magine again in that bright green truck on the bottom side. He's going to get in behind Bradley Hawley and try and push him through turns 3 and 4.
The way that Magine has been driving, I get the feeling that we need to keep an eye on this Canadian because he's been aggressive and he's been fast. This has gotten him up to 5th position as he's just trying to get past Adam Young at this point. Holds on to that 4th place, or that 5th place rather. Ooh, as Trevor Clement almost blocking the lane for Bradley Hawley, and into the wall goes Young.
Almost, he just managed to keep his right rear out of it, but he's hitting the wall now, going down the straight. That's going to slow him down and allow him to get caught up to by Jake Hounshell, but Jake has to brake, so that allows William Hartman to go underneath Jake, but William Hartman's going to run out of room.
And we got a big caution. It's back behind them. Oh, take your pick. There's a lot of trucks involved. I see Blaine Adams in there.
Yeah, Nick Roby is where it started with him and Jose till this. I can confidently say, Joe, this is a caution that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, and Tellez was one of the drivers that I mentioned on the first lap, found himself brushing the wall and then hitting the car here down in 3 and 4. He just tried to turn down into Roby when Roby's car couldn't disappear. And unfortunately for Roby, Burnham was already on a trajectory and there's just no way to avoid.
Yeah, and then if we could also take a look at Blaine Adams' perspective, he gets into this very late. It's very unfortunate for him. He gets collected right there and shot up into the wall. That's going to be heavy damage for him as we go on board.
We've also got a good escape here from the number 11 of Harrison. We'll get an onboard after we watch this with Blaine Adams. Yeah, everything just starts slowing up, and then there's no opening. Oh, wow, he took a hard hit to that outside wall, too. Here's Jeff Harrison now. Here's the opposite end of things. Thread the needle. Oh, find the spot. Yeah, look at that. And that's going to give him 14th place with that move. Beautiful.
We're going to take a look at this from above because this is crazy. Watch how close he gets here to a couple of cars. That's Jose Tellez. He goes underneath, and then he just avoids that incident as well. Unbelievable stuff from Jeff Harrison.
Oh man, sometimes the racing gods are with you, and I'd say the number 11 had something in his cockpit that they were smiling on. Meanwhile, that means Bradley Hawley is now our new leader up at the front. Bagine is in 2nd, Clement's in 3rd, and Young is in 4th. Where did Smith go?
Smith decided to go and take that opportunity to pit. So that leads me to think that we were right, Joe, that last caution would have been a better opportunity to pit and regain track position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that just did not work out well for him. And we've got quite a few cautions here at the start too. It's just that what's interesting here, Adam, is that We'll get 2 laps of green, 3 laps of green, and then the caution will come out. It's usually you'd expect it to be immediate when you have this caution after caution scenario.
It's really interesting, Joe, because a lot of the cautions I've seen boiled down to people seeming to either not. It seems like they're kind of forgetting the racecraft of this track. It's very different than most tracks, and the fact that the braking points for all the lanes are very strange and very different. So in that last incident, Jose Tellez needed to brake a little bit early because that top lane carries a lot more speed through the corner. So he needs to let off a little bit earlier than the lane below him, which actually tends to arc more down towards the apex of the corner. And so that seemed like it wasn't quite expected. And so it seems like we're having a lot of incidents like that one where I think people are just having a hard time understanding the intentions of the drivers around them.
It surprises me because a lot of these drivers have raced with one another for a number of seasons, if not some of them for years at this point. PRL has become a pretty long-standing league, private league here that's run on iRacing. They do multiple series as well, so some of these drivers have even driven with these other drivers in other cars frequently.
But at the same time, Joe, we realize we have a new truck this season. We just had a new build, so things are a little bit wonky. And also, this is only the second race that's been on a traditional, oval where you have to lift. So they're not quite used to everything being in the swing of things yet.
And I guess to be fair, I did say at the start of the broadcast that we've had 3 different styles so far this season of track, and this is essentially a 4th different style, really, being its own unique beast compared to a lot of the ovals that you see on NASCAR anymore. So nobody really could be quite in the swing yet. I think we're getting the lights off this time. We'll find out here in a second. Yes, indeed. So we double up just as we are past halfway now. Hopefully we can get the second half a little bit cleaner. We've lost Nick Pruitt since we last looked. Baron Hilton's gotten back out. Poor Paul Williams has been still sitting, waiting for the repairs to finish for a full 28 minutes now. Looking back on the somewhat thinned out field here as we ride on board.
Joe, Paul Williams, it may seem like it's a little ridiculous for him to still be in that truck, but if he can get back out there, he could get all the way up to 33rd position by the time this race ends because of how many trucks we've had drop out.
Yeah, and Williams is usually one of the front runners, so I understand him wanting to try and get in things and get this championship back in order for himself because he's certainly not doing good so far. Bradley Holly, especially with him running up front and leading the points, that is a bad sign for everybody else because he's been absolutely dominant in the past few seasons. Now that he's got the lead here in this race, J.R. Smith finally coming in to get some fresh tires. What can Holly do? Can he hold off Dominic Begin? Canadian has looked like he is one to watch out for the potential win as the green flag comes out. It's a very good start for Holly, but a decent start for Begin, trying to hold off Clement down below to see if he can get in that second place. I don't think he's going to be able to take that away. Clement's got the inside as they start to come off of 2 now.
Begin also has tires in the high line, so he's going to have some momentum coming off of 2. That's going to allow him to pull past Clement. Here comes William Hartman, who's going to look actually to the bottom side of Clement and force Clement to go on the high side. So here comes William Hartman diving down to the bottom of the track. We got 2 riding shotgun trucks behind him.
Ooh, and there's a lot of people still side by side here, ducking up to the high side. That was Jake Hounshell getting back into things. Where did he come from, starting from 21st?
Yeah, Jake Hounshell's been quietly snaking his way up to the front. He's been pretty aggressive on these restarts, especially because he can tell that these cautions come thick and fast. Here comes Daniel Knight drifting up towards Jake Hounshell. Jake just barely keeping it off of Daniel. Man, that was close for both of them.
They both keep it off the wall and keep it out of each other. Up at the front, it's Bijin and Hawley starting to pull away. You can see up ahead, a little bit of cloud cover as things darken here. Hartman and Clement trying to settle out that third place as they come onto the front stretch. Temperature has cooled down significantly since the start of the race. It's now down to 98 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's not a small bit of cloud cover that is affecting this race. That's a huge amount. That means these trucks are going to be gripping quite a bit more, but also be quite a bit tighter for these drivers as they go through the turns.
Speaking of tight, Daniel Knight does not like how this thing is handling. He had to lift big time. The 17 falls to 11th now. A bunch of trucks just freight trained him.
Another truck driver that's struggling to gain a little bit of pace. William Hartman, he just pulled up ahead of Trevor Clement, but he's unable to break away. And we have a breakaway of two trucks at the front again. That's Dominic Bijin and Bradley Hawley.
Yeah, it's already a half second between Bijin and Hartman. Second to third place. Ooh, wait, drifting up high. Rob Haynes starts to fall off as well. He's going to lose a couple here through 1 and 2. He was in, I believe, 6th position. He might be down to 9th here.
Yeah, and he's trying to hold on to it, but he's tried a different line, tried a different opportunity, and it didn't work out for him. So he's going to have to fall back into line with all the rest of these drivers as he tries to draft on the back of Brendan Chatley.
Starting to get a bit of a run going under green now. Say, put another lap down. You can see here at the bottom of the top 10, it is a little bit frantic now. Some aggressive moves being made. This is Thomas Sink, you see on the high side in the dark colored machine. Then it's Brendan Chatley in the red. Top on board, Rachel Huntsview. She's still running in 10th, qualified 5th, falling back a little bit here. That is Daniel Knight behind her. In front, that's Haynes in the bright yellow machine.
And surprisingly enough, right behind Daniel Knight is actually Josue Tellez. Even after being involved in that last incident, he's still up there in the 12th position, so he's just plowing on and doing his job.
I think he got it straightened out. We didn't really focus on it a lot, but he sort of caught it in that last wreck, if I recall correctly. Up at the front, Bijin's starting to put some pressure on Hawley. He's getting right up to that rear bumper, and in fact, he's going to look to the inside. I know we've got a pass going on with Hunt there, but a pass for the lead as Bijin now gets to the rear quarter panel. Bradley Hawley trying to fend him off, gets the momentum, and immediately ducks down low.
All right, Joe, this is what I was a little bit afraid of with this tight set. Tight sets at fast racetracks means that the high line starts to take precedence. When that happens, it gets really difficult to make passes until very late in the run where all the tires are spent and you can do dive bombs. We're going to see whether or not Dominic Bijin can build up enough of a run, but in order to make this pass, I think he's going to have to go to the high side of Bradley Hawley.
Oh, we got a caution. JR
Oh,
JR
my
Smith
goodness.
with a big wreck. His day might be done. He got sandwiched.
It's been a while since I've seen a wreck like that one, Joe. This is a big one.
Harrison and Adams were on either side coming down into one. You'll see it. He has nowhere to go. He has to get into Adams, and that sends him immediately back up to the outside, spins him down to the middle of the track, and that is that Chatley? No, that's Hunter. Austin Hunter in the 312 that absolutely sends him flying.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure whether this one, I mean, the only way he could have avoided that would be to back out of the battle altogether. We're going to take a look at Brett Adams as he tries to go by this incident. He just drifts up a little bit
made
there.
a pretty miraculous escape on this. This is Adams' view.
Wow, Brett Adams hung on to it. Very impressive.
Jason Hounshell on the 49 is one I'd love to see an onboard with. Had to get very, very low down through turn 2. He might have made a little bit of contact.
That's close.
Well, I mean, credit to the 49 because he picked a side and he stuck with it. But yeah, that gave us an idea of how close that was. That angle was great.
It doesn't get much closer than that, folks. And here we go. Pit stops again. Looks like everybody's coming in this time.
So far they are. And this is a longer stop. Hey, Paul Williams is back out, by the way. He's naturally going to stay out since there's really no point in him coming back in at this point. And yeah, I'd say everybody is in besides our lap down trucks. So how are they going to come back out is the question. Rob Haynes.
Two-tire
Rob
stop,
Haynes.
Joe.
He did indeed. Holly's out behind him. Hartman into third. Dominic Begin falls to fourth with that. He's not going to be happy about that. Clement into P5. Haynes rolling the dice now.
This is great. This is a great opportunity, a great chance to test out alternate strategies on this new tire model. These drivers really haven't had an opportunity to yet, so it's awesome to see Rob Haynes take this risk.
I'm loving this. And we are 38 laps in, so we're going to get restarted at what, about lap 40, 41? So that'll leave just about 16 laps left to go, 16 or 15 laps left. That's not that long of a run. If it does stay green, we could be in for some exciting stuff here. See a number of drivers staying in to take repairs. Hunter is one. Mike Burnett, excuse me, getting a few more repairs. Remember, he was involved a couple incidents ago. He's actually stayed on the lead lap up till now, so the 39's not doing too shabby with getting the car back into shape. There you see him on screen now. We've still got 30 trucks left on the lead lap. Burnett is the last one, if I could say his name.
And already Paul Williams has gained 5 positions from when he had that incident. So he's already up to P36, and he'll be able to gain more positions now that we've had these other wrecks. So this was a good decision from him to wait out those repairs and get back out on track.
Yeah, J.R. Smith has joined our DNFs with that mammoth wallop he had into the outside wall. So him, Johnson, and Pruitt should be overtaken, I think. No, actually, Smith won't be overtaken because Williams is 29 laps down. So highest he's going to be able to get then, I believe, is 34th. Might see a few drivers with more of those license points, unfortunately, after today's race.
Yeah, the hope is that everyone can avoid getting enough license plates for penalties, but the reason why they put in the penalty system was to try and reduce the amount of cautions that happened across the PRL league, because it was becoming kind of a chronic plague for them.
Yeah, and last season was better, I will say. Rob Haynes now inheriting the lead with his two-tire stop as we go double wide. It's really hard to gauge this season. Talladega was pretty good, I will say. Iowa was a bit of a mixed bag, and then Eldora, well, we kind of expect cautions to come in the dirt races. That's a much harder discipline, especially for drivers who are not used to racing it regularly. And then Michigan, well, we've had quite a few, if we're honest, today.
Yeah, but I think that's something. A lot of it depends on where the driver's mentalities are, but also where the setup is. And with a tight setup, you really can't get out of incidents. You can't make them one truck incidents. If you start sliding up the hill, all you can do is get out of it or try and get on the brakes, but that's just going to make you go even more straight. So sometimes there's nothing you can do but get into an incident if you have bitten off more than you can chew going into a corner.
All right, can we keep it green to the end here? We'll be restarting on lap 41, 15 to go in today's race. That was probably our longest green flag run we had there. If not, it was pretty close to what we had at the very start of this race. Bradley Hawley, can he manage to get around Rob Haynes? Is 2 tires enough to keep him down? Waiting for the green flag to come out. Pace car is in. There we go. Rob Haynes on the loud pedal. Hawley can't get down low. Hartman is good on the throttle. That actually could wind up being crucial if these two start fighting for second place. Bajin back in third, has nowhere to go. He gets in behind. Back in fourth, rather. Ooh, that was close coming off the turn between Hawley and the 67.
I really thought William Hartman had Hawley there, but it looks like he wasn't able to. Here comes Dominic Bajin making it 3 wide for the 2-second spot.
He's going to go all the way down low, but he starts to drift up. The 67 gets into the 184, and they all hold it together. But that checks them all up. And who is this coming through? Is that Houndshell? That is Houndshell up to second. Oh, my goodness.
Well, that was an interesting moment there with Dominic Bajin. I think he thought he could hold it on the bottom side. Turns out that wasn't the case, but here comes Jake Houndshell. He's going across down in front of Dominic Bajin. Dominic sliding up a little bit. We have another one of the riding shotgun trucks sliding up into William Hartman again. Hartman having no luck on this restart.
Oh, man. A little bit of Rodney Dangerfield syndrome there for the 67. Not getting any respect from his fellow drivers. As we ride on board, he starts to close in on Bajin, who is more concerned with Clement to his outside. Oh, man, understeer city for a lot of these trucks.
Well, the temperature is starting to go up again. It's up to 96 degrees, which is only 1 degree up from where we checked last, but it's still, stuff is getting a little rough out there. Looks like these drivers are sliding around a lot more than they were on the last run.
The one loving this the most is Rob Haynes.
Oh, wreck in the backfield. That is Nicholas
Jeff
Hunter.
Harrison.
Nicholas Hunter got sent into the wall.
So those two we know are involved, and it looks like only those two. Yeah, Harrison caught his right rear quarter panel. That's he just absolutely pancakes it. We have a new damage model on these trucks. He'd be missing quite a few pieces of bodywork at this point.
Yeah, that would be one of those wrecks that tests out the safety features of this track. That is high speed and right into the A-pillar.
Yeah, you really got a sense of it there as we rode on board. I was just about to say, before that caution came out, Rob Haynes looked very, very fast out there. And remember, he took the 2 tires. I wonder if he was starting to notice the understeer, Adam, and intentionally went for the 2, not necessarily to get the track position, but for handling reasons.
Well, it's possible. You could try and do it for handling reasons, but also with the struggle everyone's been having passing people on the high side, and the fact that as your truck gets tighter, you tend to end up on the high side, that's also another reason to think to yourself, well, maybe I take 2 here, get a little bit of grip, get a little bit more rotation in the truck, but then no one's going to be able to pass me because I could just get out into the lead with a good restart and get kicking.
I mean, whatever the reasoning, Rob Haynes has pulled a master stroke out here strategy-wise. Going to get someone down in pit lane there. Trying to figure out who that was. That was Harrison, involved in the wreck. Everybody else looks like, with it being this late in the race, they're going to keep it out on the track. Now, normally we talk about a green-white checkers in this series, but with the extra time, let's see. I don't think, we're not even going to get close to that. So this will go to a 55-lap race.
We're not going to get close to the time, but if there is an accident on the 54th lap, that will take it to a green-white checker.
Also got Nick Hunter getting a few repairs as well. Naturally, he might actually be out of this race because I see he's hopped into our ready for interview booth. So I wonder if he's calling it a day at this point. Why don't we see if we can get on his radio and talk to him a bit, since we got a bit of the caution to go here. Nick, this is Joe with GSRC up in the booth. We see you've put yourself in the ready for interview. Does that mean to say that you're done for the day here?
It's very unfortunate, but yes.
Sad to see that you wound up with a poor finish in the end, especially so unceremoniously. It's been a bit of a caution fest, if we're honest, out there. From inside the cockpit, what are your thoughts on this race?
I came to this race pretty confident. I mean, I was actually having fun out there, and it's, unfortunate to be taken out like that. But with all these cautions and pushing on time, I mean, I feel like everybody could race a little bit cleaner and, hold it together. But it's racing. We're having fun.
Well, I'm glad at least you're having fun, because that's certainly the most important part out there, especially at this low stakes level. But we've had 4 unique tracks at this point between Iowa, Talladega, Eldora, and here at Michigan. I mean, are you thinking it's going to be at least a little bit more normal when we head to the next round?
I sure hope so. I mean, this is the 4th race, and hopefully we can only go up from here.
Well, we hope for the best for you, at least on the next round coming out. Anybody you'd like to thank, though, before you go?
Of course, Rescue Racing, Brendan Chatley throwing this all together, and all the sponsors that we have in Line 309. The list goes on and on for a great cause that we're doing. So, of course, like I said, Rescue Racing.
Well, we thank you for putting that great cause on your truck, and we'll try and help continue to promote it for you. Best of luck when you return.
Thank you, guys.
That was Nick Hunter, premature DNF there today. Atlanta will be the next round, so definitely on to one of the more cookie cutters. That'll be on January 22nd that takes place. Still waiting for the lights to go out on the truck, or on the pace car, rather, the only car. How do I manage to get the only car wrong out there when you keep calling the trucks cars?
It's one of the challenges that we face up here in the booth. We don't face as many challenges as those drivers are facing down there driving these trucks tonight. They have had their hands full all day, and it appears that the challenge is one that may be insurmountable for some.
Lights are finally off, so we're going to go racing with 8 to go. And the green-white checkers today, as we come up towards the end of the race, could be happening if we get that caution at the right time. We've got time for one more, I'd say, with one more restart before we come back and definitely have a GWC here. We're on the backstretch, riding on board with the 3rd place driver down to the inside, Jake Hounshell. What a move he made there to split the middle with drivers having all sorts of issues getting their trucks to turn. And that's put him in a fantastic position. You have to wonder, though, William Hartman, he's been very quick. He's fallen back to 6th from having all that bumping and banging there on the last restart. Can he manage to get back up to the front, and can he challenge Bradley Hawley and Rob Haynes?
It's going to be very tough for him to do so. It's a long way to go, especially with such a short time. But if anyone can do it, William Hartman can. He's shown his pace multiple seasons here, and he's shown it in these trucks today.
Here we go. What kind of start are we going to get from Rob Haynes? Will he still have the speed? Do those right side tires have anything in them, or are they worn out from just a couple of laps? Green flag is out, and he is off like a shot. Bradley Hawley easily ahead of the next two who are side by side. Clement up to the high side of Jake Hounshell, but Hounshell starts to slip into 3rd.
Hounshell doing a good job just hanging on there on the bottom side, but look at that. That was a very fast truck of Trevor Clement going on the high side. That high side definitely looks like the ideal line. We haven't had much of an opportunity to talk about it, but there it is, showing its strength here. Bradley Hawley diving low, forcing Rob Haynes to go to the low line as well.
Battle for 3rd, not done yet as we get the first lap under green finished here. And Jake Hounshell, somehow on the low line, manages to carry better speed off the corner. Up in front of them, Haynes is not scampering away like we saw before. Bradley Hawley is keeping him under pressure. Down into turn 1, Hounshell sends it in deep. He's going to be able to finally take 3rd away from Clement. But here comes William Hartman with a whole head of steam.
William Hartman's got some serious speed and has been able to make one position up over Thomas Sink and Dominic Pagine, who are battling side by side behind him. He's going to look to that low side. We'll see whether or not he's one of the trucks that can make that work.
He's trying and can't drift up all the way. That's going to slow both of them up. Jake Houndshell's loving that as he can finally try and run down our top two up ahead, which are really gapping them at this point. It's already up to 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, and you can see that gaggle from 4th all the way back down to 9th. That's between William Hartman, Trevor Clement, Rachel Hunt, Dominic Pagine, Daniel Knight. They're all side by side as they come off of 1 and 2. But look at that. Rob Haynes starting to pull a gap, like you said.
I really do think it's that two-tire call that's allowing Rob Haynes to get a wonderfully handling truck out here as we ride on board with our leader with now 5 laps to go. I mean, the biggest thing for me, and this isn't to put down Rob Haynes, but it's rare that you see anybody outpace Bradley Hawley.
Definitely, but it's also been many, many seasons and many builds since we've seen a two-tire stop be a viable strategy on an oval. And here is Rob Haynes proving that it's possible. Whoa, take a look at that. That's Trevor Clement getting a little bit loose off of 2. He's going to try and go underneath William Hartman there, but falls back in line.
Oh, we got a caution, and I do believe this will give us a green-white checkers. That's
Mike Richter.
Mike Richter. Well, this was a slow incident. He's going to get into the side of J.R. Bash. Bash is just going to carefully turn him around.
I'm puzzled at this one. This is going to be interesting because Richter's up on the high side. J.R. Bash looks like he's going to go for a misses by a little bit, and that ends up sliding Mike Richter through the field.
I'm going to watch from Bash's view.
Yeah, he turns a little bit right there.
Or something.
Well, I said it last week and I'll say it this week. Bash living up to his name.
Poor guy. I'm sure he gets a little tired of that here on iRacing if anytime he has an incident. But Bradley Hawley still trying to chase down Rob Haynes. Might have a 2-lap run to do it. Let's see. Is it 4 laps if we've got trucks laps down? Trying to figure out what we're going to get. Let's see. 3 laps to go this time by, so we will need to go double file next time by, or else we will not get a restart.
And I don't believe that will happen because we have lap trucks in the pack. So I think it's going to be... We'll wait for the confirmation from the iRacing stewards, but I believe this will be a green-white checker.
Yeah, I think you're right as well. Who's our big movers this race so far? Biggest one, I'd say, up at the front is Jake Houndshell, 21st to 3rd for him. Daniel Knight's not doing too shabby. He's started from 14th position. He's currently running in 7th. And then how about Charles Sumner, 34th? And that is with a qualifying, by the way. So this is legitimate. Charles Sumner from 34th to 11th currently. So Sumner might just get the hard charger of the race.
Adam Shane is also up 14 positions, and Blaine Adams already also up 20 positions from his starting position. So impressive stuff from a lot of these drivers.
Wow, just some impressive stuff from our drivers this race. Despite all of the wrecks, there's certainly a few that have been making good on things. What is Williams doing out there? Both he and Dan McLaren are back out trying to gain position, so a bit of a Dory Award going to the 7 and the 73. Williams is running in 7th and 29 laps in. Yep, he's not going to catch J.R. Smith. This is as high as he's going to go. Wonder if he's keeping track of that, because at this point, he actually should just probably bring it in. No, he shouldn't, because Dan McLaren is 1 lap down from him, so he's got to stay out to make sure he doesn't go down a position.
All right, so we are going to get a green-white checkered finish that has just been confirmed by the iRacing stewards. So this will be, they only do 1 attempt here, so this will be the final attempt for a green, white checker finish here at Michigan in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series.
Okay. Now, here's the question. Do we need to wait for it to get all the way to what would have been the checkered flag before they double up here? I think so.
Well, we're still single file, so it all depends on when the when the lights go off on the pace car. Fortunately, because of the timing mistake that was made earlier on, we're not going to get that odd one lap shootout that we
Yeah, it's
frankly usually get here at PRL. So I think that this is going to be an actual true 2-lap shootout for the green, white checker finish.
yeah. We would have finished. Well, actually, yeah, it would have been a 1-lap shootout, I believe, because we're 104 right now, and I want to say we've been under caution for at least 4 minutes at this point. Rachel Hunt has managed to at least keep herself in 8th. So that's going to be a decent finish. She's 6th in the points, still not probably what she would have really liked, especially considering her qualifying pace had her up within the top 5. But I guess maybe a little bit of damage limitation today.
Yeah, a little bit of damage limitation, and she is a long run driver. I've noticed that in her practice sessions. She practices a lot of long runs, and we just have not had them today. So she's down there in 8th position. She managed to gain 4 positions on that last restart, but as they double up, I don't think there's a way she could fight for the win here unless everyone wrecks ahead of her, but she's doing a good job there in the top 10.
All right, let's go racing one more time. If they get to the white flag, it will finish under green. But if they don't complete that first lap cleanly, then it will go to caution, and that will be the end of the race. It's going to be Rob Haynes, who's been looking very quick over Bradley Hawley, the charging Jake Hounshell. A maybe slightly frustrated number 67, William Hartman, in there as well. Don't discount Trevor Clement. He started this thing on the front row. He probably wants to get a little bit closer to that starting spot. He's been pretty quick all race long as well. Thomas Sink has been strong in qualifying, put it in 4th, currently riding in the 6th position. And of course, we mentioned about Daniel Knight coming up forwards into that 7th spot. He's won races here in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. Could he do it again? A lot of cloud cover here at the end. Scott, it's down to 93 degrees Fahrenheit. It's cooled down significantly. So as we go racing and the loud pedal is down for Rob Haynes, green flag is out. Will we get a full 2 laps? Bradley Hawley not looking so hot with Jake Hounshell down to his inside. They swing it into turn 1 now.
That being said, the high side has been preferred recently, but we have a lot of shade, and it's the coolest the track has been all day at 93 degrees. Here comes Jake Hounshell on the ball. Scheibe's drifting up towards Bradley Hawley. Hawley's able to hang on to it, though.
Just need to get halfway around the track here to finish it under green. Rob Haynes still holding it over Bradley Hawley. Less than a car length back, though. Does Hawley try and send it in, get himself his 2nd win? Rob Haynes, does he try to get his 1st this season? White flag is out. We are finishing under green. What can Hawley do? It's a battle for 3rd as well. That is between Hounshell and Hartman, who's gotten down to the inside. Hartman sends it in deep down into turn 1. That's going to get him 3rd place. Rob Haynes looking strong. Those outside tires once again coming in handy as the 184 has no answer off of turn 2. It's going to take a miraculous move for him to take this win from here. Behind him, still a battle for 3rd. The 67 working the high side over Hounshell. Off the corner, there is no challenge from Hawley. Rob Haynes is going to be our 4th winner in 4 races here at Michigan.
What a fantastic run from Haynes. 2-tire strategy wins the race. What an amazing finish from him.
I guarantee you everybody out there is making notes after that move from Rob Haynes. Nobody's going to be looking at those pit stops the same here at this build. That's going to take us to a quick break. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. If you stick around, You'll see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC on your screen. International Speedway. Our winner, burning it down, Rob Haynes, took the victory here for the PRL's round 4. As the 109 going to help him put some tire marks on the track. Haynes went from 9th to 1st, and Bradley Hawley just behind him in 2nd place, couldn't quite outrun him. William Hartman, I have to imagine he might not be terribly happy about how some of those last laps went. He certainly wound up going backwards, and that cost him a chance at trying to challenge for that lead at the end. He finished 3rd anyways. Jake Hounshell with a P4 after starting 24th is got to be happy with that. Trevor Clement, 5th place for him. Then you got Thomas Sink finishing P6, and Daniel Knight with a nice climb to 7th. Dominic Begine finished 8th. Rachel Hunt fell back to 9th place, but a better points day than last week, and Brennan Chatley took 10th.
Jason Hounshell comes home in 11th place after starting 15th, with Charles Sumner 20, wow, quite a few positions. I believe that's 22 positions gained, up to 12th position, with Christopher Burnham coming home in 13th from starting place of 24th today. And we have Josue Tellez, not the greatest race for him, but a good recovery drive up to 14th, with Adam Young recovering from starting in the pits up to 15th position. Brett Adams is going to come home in 16th position, with Adam Zemke coming home in 17th after some early struggles. Nick Roby's going to come home in 18th position, with Adam Shane and Craig Holden rounding out your top 20.
21st went to Brian Hotham with Tristan Callahan in 22nd. Mike Richter got into some issues, and that wound up sending him to 23rd when all was said and done. Barry Peel, P24 for him. J.R. Bash getting involved in the last wrecks, wound up 25th, and Mike Burnett trying to get back out on track did get up to P26. Blaine Adams was 27th. And then the last driver on the lead lap was 28th, Brandon Walter. Everybody from there on down was laps down, some of them finishing, some of them not. Quite a few DNFs today, to be honest. We do have our winner ready to talk to us, Rob Haynes, with the $1 million question. Rob, was the 2-tire call at the end a gamble, or did you know that they would work that well?
No, that was 100% a gamble, Joe. I did not know they were going to work like that. I knew I took 4 on the pit stop before that, which I believe was 2 cautions before that. So I knew I was okay on the left side. I had figured out to calculate about 9 or 10 laps with some help from teammate there. I had about 9 or 10 green flag laps on those left side tires. So it was a bit of a gamble, but hey, it paid off there at the end. I'm happy.
I'd say it's time to go to the corner store and get yourself a lottery ticket. Then that worked out amazingly. We both raised our eyebrows when we saw that you took those 2 tires and got yourself in front, and then even more so when you started to have the grip. Did it loosen the car up the truck up, because it looked like by the end a lot of people were struggling with understeer, but you didn't seem to have those issues.
No, the grip was phenomenal with just the 2 tires. It may have loosened it up just a bit. I didn't feel the back end swing out at any time, but I also didn't get the push up towards the wall that I was experiencing earlier. So, man, I'm going to say that, 2 tires, I think, was probably it. I'm glad I got out in front of Bradley there. Good run for those What About guys. Man, I'm just glad I could stay in front of them there at the end.
Yeah, well, the big question now is whether or not that will work in other races at other tracks, considering we're going to Atlanta, which, from what I understand, tends to chew up tires. What are you thinking going into there?
Yeah, that's a fast track. That's a hammer down track. You're gonna have trucks running all over the place there, up high, down low. Yeah, I don't think 2 tires. Atlanta tends to eat up tires pretty good, so I don't think we'll see 2 tire stops there. But you never know. I mean, with this new tire model, I mean, it's guesswork for everybody right now. And that 2 tire call, I'm going to remember here for the next time we come to Michigan.
I'm pretty sure a lot of other people are remembering that. Anybody you'd like to thank before you go?
Yeah, of course, you guys, GSRC up in the booth there. I hope the fans enjoyed the racing tonight. PRL, of course, for putting all this on. ETC, Roman Delight, Inline 309, Rescue Racing, of course, my teammates. And I just need to say this. We're raising money for 2 animal shelters with different payouts for our finishing positions. We accept donations as well. Check us out at rescueracing.com.
Great stuff. As an animal lover, that is certainly close to my heart. That was our winner, Rob Haynes. Adam, I don't know about you. I'm grinning ear to ear. I love seeing gambles like that, and then works out in the end. Not sure how Bradley Holly, though, is as excited about that.
Now, Bradley, it's not often that we have to say this, but you came up just short today, and it looks like Rob might have had the number on you on pace. How hard was it to keep up with him towards the end of that race?
I mean, it was tough. I think with his 2 tire stop, that's what loosened him up, and then on top of that, the aero push that basically you felt behind anybody really just tightened up the truck like a dump truck.
Yeah, I was noticing that it was really hard to make passes there on the low side because of the run the high side was getting. Was that the trouble the whole night, or is that something that came on later in the runs as the tires got older?
I think it was more the tires getting older, because I could straddle the seam and loosen the truck up when I was out front, and I mean, at that time the truck felt amazing, but just getting behind, once I got behind Rob, there was really not much I could do. I mean, I tried many tricks, and all it wanted to do was go to the wall.
Well, Bradley, it's great to have you in the booth again, and still a fantastic finish, even if it's not a win. Is there anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Waterback guys for practicing every week and just making things fun, and I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting this every week.
Well, thank you, Bradley, and we look forward to seeing you up here again in the future. That was Bradley Holly, our second place finisher tonight, and I believe Joe Peak is going to be conversing with William Hartman, who came home in third.
Yep, and Hartman was fast all night, but Will, coming to some of those last laps, you had a restart where you got roughed up a bit there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. I felt like we had a really, really good truck all night, and we were going to be right there in position to try and challenge Rob for the win. I don't know if we would have had anything for him, but really would have liked the opportunity. Just couple of unfortunate incidents. Lucky enough, we were able to gather the truck up. A lot of patience from the guys behind us gave us enough room to get everything gathered up and going again. And then luckily able to pick our way back through on those last couple of restarts. So all in all, I guess not a terrible finish, and definitely could have been a lot worse. So pretty fortunate.
That the new tire model on this truck has really been a talking point a lot ever since this recent build. What are your thoughts now that we're 4 races in? Do you like that it's kind of throwing things for a loop?
Yeah, I definitely think I think it's got its ups and downs for sure. I think it's definitely a positive and something that it's taken a little bit to get used to, but I think it's definitely an improvement. So just got to keep plugging away at a few of these races and learn all these racetracks again. It's just tough coming in. A lot of the knowledge that you had from before is kind of thrown out the window, so you got to reteach yourself everything. So it's made it a very interesting season and a lot of fun to develop as the season's gone on for sure.
Oh, we love the unpredictability, obviously. With next round being at Atlanta, do you consider that one of your strong ones?
Yeah, I actually really look forward to Atlanta. So really looking forward to next week, get a bunch of practice in, and try and put together a really good finish. I feel like we'll be pretty strong there, and we'll see what the new tire model's got in store for us.
All right, well, we'll watch out for you. That was 3rd place finisher William Hartman. Would you like to thank anyone real quick before you go? Well, nope, well, we've lost him. Sorry about that. I think up next we've got Thomas Sink with Adam talking to him.
Yeah, Thomas, it looked like it was a pretty tough race out there with the truck being tight in traffic. How was it for you being in the middle of that front pack?
It was tight. I got nose damage, like literally lap 1, corner 2. The guy got in the wall in front of me and caused nose damage, and it was just, it obliterated the front of the car. I'd go in the corner, and if I had anyone in front of me, I could, even if they swooped in front of me, you would literally feel the front end give away.
So how did that change your strategy going into later into the race? How did you manage to find clean air for that truck going into the corner?
Just tried anything. Just watch the car in front. You see that, like, even on the races on TV, if they go high, try to go a little bit lower. If they go low, try to go a little bit higher. Just any line to get any little bit of air on the front of the truck.
So obviously you would have wanted a better finish, but considering the damage, are you happy with where you finished today?
Oh yeah, I mean that damage killed me. I get behind cars, and even in the draft, everyone was just driving by me. I was just basically trying to hold on. I really did get lucky for the finish I had.
Well, Thomas, I know it's not the finish you wanted, but still a good finish, a top 10 overall. Is there anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Stars and Stripe Realty for sponsoring this car today. Brad's the one that sponsors all that. I like to thank him. I like to thank Trading Paints and Steve Lavender. They do a lot for me over the last few months. Inline 309, and then ABC Breadcrumbs, who also sponsor the truck.
Well, thanks for talking to us tonight, Thomas, and we look forward to better results for you in the future.
Thank you, and thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
All right, that was Thomas Sink, our 6th place finisher tonight. Back to you, Joe.
Yep, that's going to wrap up our interviews for the night. So we're going to close out with some thank yous of our own. First of all, to our sponsor, Diecast Kings. Again, if you want to check them out, they are at diecastkings.com, and that includes NHRA and NASCAR diecast cars. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Adam, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Check out our social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook /Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is at GSRC_Graham. If you want to subscribe to our channel, and you should at this point, you can see lots more exciting racing like this. Just scroll below this video here on YouTube and click on the big red button that says subscribe. The next race is going to be at Atlanta. That'll be Wednesday, January 22nd at 8:50 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.